record on this computer. Okay, so for any latecomers, I am going to record it, and so trying to keep communication clear and going. Before I get into anything too crazy, I just wanted to say thank you so much. I have so much to be thankful for. We've had, with the survey that went out, we had over 6,000 views on Facebook, over 40 shares. I just bought a Facebook ad to promote it, and we by far got more promotion just from community support than any ad has given me so far. So yeah, my background's not in transportation, and so I definitely am learning. People have been so generous and teach me about their businesses and transportation needs, and I really just want to thank everyone for their willingness to, you know, just talk and have good communication. So, meeting agenda, which I know everyone loves. You're all like, yay! I am going to record the meeting just because there are so many stakeholders. I know they will not all be able to attend. I do ask that mics stay muted during this quick little presentation I'm doing here, but I am going to do some breakout groups later. And during those breakout groups, if you could unmute and start your video, I think that would have some really good dialogue. And I actually think those breakout groups are probably going to be more beneficial for all of you than listening to me spiel all this off. So my co-host, oh no, I used a mouse incorrectly. Okay, there we go. My co-host is Lainey Knopfer. She's actually my boss at Maumee Valley Planning Organization. She's wonderful. She's going to help me out because I can't do it all. While I share my PowerPoint presentation, I can't necessarily see everything. And so she's going to be responding to letting people into from the waiting room and answering any questions on the chat. And Lainey, feel free to interrupt me if you have a good question and you feel like we should break in. So, mobility management. I'm taking all these classes and learning all these webinars about what is mobility management. And so essentially it's community outreach, it's assessment, it's evaluation, and it's funding. And with that, I went to all of your plan or coordinated plans, and by all of yours, let me be clear. Defiance County has one, Fulton County and Henry County have coordinated plans, Williams does not. As I told everyone at the countywide meetings, I'm hoping to make it a regional coordinated plan and then work together as a region in promoting and investing in our transportation. One of the reasons I think that it's a good idea to do a regional plan is, one, I looked at the goals on the coordinated plans and they were very similar. First of all, it was hiring a mobility manager. Good job, Lainey and Dennis. Second is transportation coordinating. So they wanted whoever they did hire, which ended up being me, to coordinate communication, both county and regionally. And they said to do that, we would be having annual meetings and we would be doing surveys with service providers. I've already started coordinating all of those things. They want someone to look into funding, looking at trip efficiencies, identifying grant funding opportunities. I have not done that yet, but we are going to be doing that as soon as I get my provider information forms back. We'll be looking at trip efficiencies, talking about what we could possibly do to make things a little more efficient and cost effective. Just so you know, my position is federally funded, and it is considered a capital expense through the federal government, which means I am covered up to 80% through federal funds. There is a 20% match for my position. Right now, we have the United Ways of the three original counties that are making that match. And this year, we have a CARES Act grant that has covered the match. But moving forward, if you know, one of the benefits for having me is that I am going to push this conversation. I'm a full-time person here talking about transportation. And it's a big challenge and a big thing to bite off, especially if you're not full-time talking about transportation. So yeah, there is some funding that is included with my participation. The other goal was identifying unmet needs. And so with that, we were asked to do a public meeting every 2 years and a public survey every 2 years. I have a public meeting scheduled for next week. I have the public survey out right now. Hopefully you have seen that. And then transportation education, just so people know what programs are out there. Actually, right now, I'm still learning what the transportation programs are out there, but I am trying to increase public knowledge. I haven't been able to attend any community events, COVID, but I have started doing monthly newsletters, and we are increasing views on the website. One of the things I wanted to show is, since I started in November, and what I've done since then is I've created a Google My Business. If you're not familiar with search engine optimizers, I've made it so that when you search Northwest Ohio Mobility, it used to come up with a business for scooters. Now, when you search that, we're the first one you find, making it easier for customers to find us. I've also uploaded some basic Google Analytics tools and things like that, so that I can better understand the population of who is utilizing our website, so that I better know how I can serve those populations. I've also been very active on Facebook, trying to at least post twice a day. You know, you don't want a non-active Facebook page. I'm so proud that we've gotten over 100 likes. Thank you all for supporting that. Again, I think Facebook was huge in promoting the survey. So many people were able to see it, and that's awesome. So I told you I want to do a coordinated plan. I've come up with a very tentative timeline because I want you to know, what the heck is this lady doing? Essentially, what my timeline is, in March, which we're in, I deployed our survey. We do have a minimum of having the survey out for 30 days. However, I wanted to do it as long as possible, so I have it out for 3 months. The end date is in May, end of May. We'll be having a public meeting via video conferencing, so please make sure you get that information out there to anyone who would be a potential writer. And then in March, I'm still learning, you know, what are our programs? What are our transportation providers? What's going on out there? So learning a lot here in March, and probably will be for the next 12 months. In June, which is our next meeting, regional meeting, is to review the survey data. This is where we as an organization need to prioritize unmet needs, create goals and actions, and say, hey, ODOT and Federal Transit Administration, these are the things we're going to do as a coordinated plan. After that, once we have created this generalized plan, it does go into a 30-day public comment period, which I'm hoping for is in July. However, if we find out that we need more time to prioritize and create goals, that might be pushed back. Then in our September meeting, we'll review comments, finalize goals, and then look for countywide approval. Now, in the past, when it was individual county plans, the county commissioners approve that, but maybe now that it's a regional one, we might have the MVPO board approve it. I've heard another mobility manager that works for their regional planning organization, that's how they go about it. I'm not sure if that's the right way. I think that would have to be written into the plan who approves it. So it's just something we will be talking about as we develop this plan, but we do need some kind of formal approval. And then finally in December, we're going to enact our coordinated plan. It takes a year just to make the plan. And then from there, we're going to be acting on it. And what are we going to do and how are we going to move forward? And these plans are good. The data from them are good for about 4 years before I have to do another survey and look into it again and see what we've improved on and what we haven't improved on. So it's going to take a lot of work, and it can't just be me. As you can already see, I'm very good at asking for help. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? So something I think I want to ask every county and entity here is, who's going to be coming to these meetings? Is it going to be everyone, whoever's available and has interest or desire to talk about transportation? Are there going to be designated people who represent the county? I do know some mobility managers have their county commissioners appoint members on this committee, but that's something I don't know if it's sustainable to ask everyone, but I want to be intentional that we're getting people to the table that can help and have active and conversations so that we're moving forward. Otherwise, there's really not a point to this. So that membership of these committees, or this committee, is going to really be very important. So data collection. Data collection is what we're going to base all of our decisions on. So it's so important that we're getting that data out there. We do have a public survey. I gave myself a goal of getting 400 responses. It's a made up goal, but I like to give myself goals and deadlines. We do have the public meeting. And if you need printed surveys, if you want any kind of assistance to get those surveys out, I am more than happy to get those printed copies to you. I know Penny in Henry County asked for them, got them to her yesterday. So anything you need that would help overcome any kind of barrier to getting the survey collected, I am here to help you. Just let me know. We talked about a public comment period. Stakeholder survey that went out to all of you, due back before April 1st, kind of just seeing where you view transportation issues, especially since you're the ones working with the public and working with potential riders. And then finally, we have the provider information form. I sent that out back in February because it asked for a lot of information. And let me just clarify something for the provider information form. It's not just if you have vehicles and if you do public transit. While that's important, and that is one of the questions, it's also if you have any kind of programming towards transportation. Are you giving waivers or vouchers? I know there's a difference. Or are you giving gas cards? Do you have savings programs to help people save for transportation? I was just on a call with Defiance County and I saw that NOPAC had a program for that. So all of those things help me because that's going to be information that when people do need transportation or do need assistance, I'm like, I want to be the hub. I want to know it all. So even if you think it's so little that I don't need to know it, wrong. I want to know. Let me know everything. And I did want to give you an update on our data collection so far. So far, we have about 19% of my 400 survey goal completed. So we do need to keep pushing that needs survey, especially with population, again, this populations that have issues with transportation. Low income, disabilities, senior service, seniors, veterans possibly, I'm not sure. Anyone who needs help with transportation. And then I did want to thank you all because I pretty much hit our goal for stakeholder surveys. I think we need 4 more and we'll hit my 80% goal of surveys, stakeholder surveys. So thank you for being, again, really good partners. I appreciate it. So now I'm going to do a pop quiz. In the chat box, there should be menti.com, or if you don't mind just pulling up on your phones or in an extra window, opening a new tab, I'm going to have a little poll. And in the poll is going to be this, you'll have to enter this code. So can you see the code and everything? Yeah, okay, thank you. Wonderful. So I'm going to give you a few minutes. Oh, someone gave me a heart. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. So go ahead and log in. And then I'm going to go to the first question. Don't panic. There's, you still have time to log in. Okay. I'm just looking to see who's here today. I know not everyone could make it, but what counties do you represent?
I'm gonna ask her.
And it's up here still, is the code, if you still need it. Okay, Defiance and Henry, good, good, good.
Where do I log in?
Go to menti.com, and then the code is 3245-1060.
I'm gonna have to leave your screen though to do that, right?
Yeah, You have to open a new screen.
Mhm. I'm gonna do it.
Share screen.
So menti.com. And this is the code 3245-1060.
Here.
I do not know. Never used it.
I'm having trouble leaving this screen.
Oh, you can hit escape. Sometimes that helps you minimize the screen. Okay. We have 23 responses. That's about half of who's in the meeting today, and that's okay. I'm going to keep going. Oh, just got another one, 24. So what category best describes you? Now, these were categories that ODOT listed as who I should be inviting to these meetings. So I know sometimes it's hard to say, well, who am I? Am I a human service partner? Am I private? You know, do your best to just identify what agency or what category you feel best describes you. I should have put one for government entities. I'm sorry. I just now realized that.
I go up here.
Go to that www, whatever it was. And you gotta enter the code.
Down there.
I haven't seen any responses yet. Is that my fault, or do you guys not see this next page?
I see it and I put a response out there. It's just not showing up.
Yeah, I responded too, Kim. Says there's 26 people who have responded.
I responded.
All right. I'm worried that I hit
I
something.
responded as well.
I did too.
I've also responded.
Boom. What category best describes you finally came up. Yeah, I feel, yeah, human services partners. JFS, senior service centers, boards of disability.
So do you put 501c3s under that?
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or go back where I was. Type it in.
Yeah. Don't need that code too.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to move forward here. So I've talked a lot about having a regional coordinated plan. And as part of that regional coordinated plan, I've, mostly asked, like, does this even interest you? Because I don't want to force something that you're not interested in. And as I do these studies, I have it figured out so that if I wanted to continue to do countywide plans, we could still do that. So I'm still trying to see is, how do you feel about a regional coordinated plan? Are you feeling like just make it happen, go Kim, go? Not interested at all? Where does the group kind of lie when it comes to how do you feel about a coordinated plan? And again, the coordinated plan isn't a regional transportation system. It's just us working together as a region on transportation. Okay, we got 24, 25 responses. Wonderful. And if I'm stressing anyone out, thank you for your patience with doing using the technology for quizzes. I appreciate it. Okay, 26. So mainly people are on board. I'm seeing, yeah, make it happen. Let's just do this. Awesome. I love it. Then the other thing I was wondering is, I kind of hinted at it too, is who should be coming to these quarterly meetings? Do you feel like it should be anyone who can make it? Maybe we need to have a smaller designated group, or one person from each county, so that those are the working groups, and then each county needs to report out to each other. amongst themselves. Thoughts?
This window and
Everyone who can make it, one person from each county. Just so you know, there's no roadmap. Every county, every region is kind of doing it differently. So I do appreciate all your feedback. It helps me make decisions.
Screen bigger. Screen. Oh, yeah.
22 people. We've had 25 in the past, so I'm hoping to get to that 25 mark. Oh, there it is. So it looks like most people are saying, well, not the majority is saying everyone who can make it, but there is also an interest in smaller designated group. Okay. And then generally speaking, I just blew through really quickly on all of these, all this information. So is there anyone out there that has questions? Like, what is that? You said this word or this phrase, what does that mean? Clarifications, any questions from the audience? Oh, I see chats. That's good. No questions?
Well, I don't necessarily have a question about the process. This is Tony Long from the Adams Board.
Okay.
You had sent out, and I don't know, Rob is also on this call, so maybe he received it, but the survey, is it too late to participate in that?
No, and you know what, actually in my meeting notes, I'll add the link to all the surveys so that you have access to it. That's a great question. Because people have been I've been adding on as I've gone, so there's more people on this call than there were before. What exact goal or endpoint is from this work? Oh, okay. Well, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. It would be, I guess, we would say, we'd look at our results and say, these are the unmet needs. And we want to enter into a process as a county, and we want to start looking at how we can fix some of these unmet needs. Does that mean we as a region want to do a regionalized transportation system, or does it mean we just want to work together to figure out pockets of making transportation more accessible and efficient for folks? So yeah, I don't know the exact goal yet, because that would come from this committee, is to say, these are our goals based on our unmet needs. Does anyone else have like a thought on that? Okay. Oh, you mark it as answered. Well, isn't that interesting? Is there grant money available? Great question. So right now we have all 3 counties, Williams, Henry, and Fulton, are receiving either 5310 or 5311 money. My mobility management is through 5310 funds. So we are utilizing grant money in 3 of the 4 counties, and there's other grants that we could look into. I think it just depends on what we want to do and how we want to move forward with that. It's a good question though. My hope is that if we did a pilot program, because what I'm getting advice from other mobility managers is, don't try to do too much too quickly, maybe do some small program, see what works, doesn't work. And then from there, move forward and, apply for more grants, talk to more funders, try to figure out what other options are out there, see if anything works. Okay. Any other questions? Y'all are fabulous. So I'm going to go back to my presentation because I have just a few more slides. So here's something that I've been working on with a small select group of people. we've been talking about creating a pilot program, and this is just a suggestion. We don't have to do it, but it's a ride brokerage model. We have been talking to SEAT, Southeast Area Transit, and this is how they operate. And so essentially what they've done is a rider will call into a one call, one click location and say, I need to schedule a ride. And then they have someone come and pick them up and transport them. Now, normally this is happening 24 to 48 hours in advance of the day of the ride, but from the client's perspective, it's fairly simple. They would pay for their ride. It works out fairly well. In fact, SEAT told us that they went from having something like 2,000 rides a day to like 10,000 transports a day. Now that's a little tricky to talk about because it's not SEAT doing it all. They're brokering out the rides. So that looks like behind the scenes, ride information is put into a software system. Now, what I'm understanding is there is a software system that a couple different agencies use in the area, and one that both Henry County Transportation Network and KMP utilize is TripMaster by CTS. So that's the one I wrote down on this chart, but it could be any software really. And I understand that some agencies are already putting in their transportation requests into the CTS system. What's wonderful about that is then the provider will then assign and dispatch who's going to be driving and how that's going to be handled. They can also figure out on the back end, does the rider need to pay for this ride? Or is this something that would be covered through the senior center? Or would it be covered through the Board of DD? Does the passenger qualify for funding assistance? So essentially what this model is doing is it's helping people who maybe don't qualify and have the ability to pay for the ride, get those rides, but it also has the ability for this interagency option where it's an easier transaction in getting the payments and the ride scheduled. Now, I'm interested if this is something that's, is something that might be interested in. I'm also interested to know if you all think this is something, hey, this would work in this county, but I don't know if that would work in this county.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm from Fulton County.
Mm-hmm.
We have an excellent system right now for our seniors. I'm
Yes, you
one of those seniors. I'm also a volunteer driver.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't cost anything for us to volunteer and drive. We already have 32 vehicles. I think it's 32, am I correct? Or close to that.
Well, that's counting the meal vehicles
Okay.
as well, but yes.
Our seniors, not all seniors have the money where they can afford to pay for a ride.
Right.
Our people here do not have to pay for their ride. However, they can put a donation in if they have it.
That's wonderful.
For some people, if you went to a system where they have to pay, it would be a matter of maybe eating that day or taking their ride to the doctor.
Right.
So for me, I think I needed to speak up for those people.
Mm-hmm.
We're happy with what we've got here in Fulton County.
Okay. So just to clarify something, what this would utilize is, one, if you wanted to use the ride brokerage model, the agency would have to opt in and sign a contract with whoever the larger entity of the ride broker person would be. So
in
let's
other words, we wouldn't be stuck with this.
Right.
Continue the way we are.
You could, yes.
Okay.
One thing that would be beneficial though, is if, let's say your example, Fulton County Senior Center signs on. They could utilize the TripMaster software to better assign and coordinate rides. And then because you are already a free program to those seniors, we wouldn't charge them for it because we would be then saying, okay, the most efficient and economical trip to schedule for those seniors would be the Fulton County Senior Center. They take the ride, they go. This would be a benefit only on the technology end for you. However, let's say that there's a request from a senior that needs to go to Cleveland or Columbus for something with some medical appointment. And it's just something that the volunteers that day, the day that it's needed, it can't happen. Okay, well then Brooke can go into the CTS system and say, hey, we need assistance with this one ride. Who can help me? And maybe K&P can jump in and help them. But the problem with that, if we do go that route, there would be a fee for either the rider or for the senior center to adopt. That would again go all to the the contracts and the agreements that go into it.
Put it down.
Right.
Does that make sense, Barb, or no?
Yeah, but we haven't had any issues with any of that.
Sure. Yeah.
And as far as scheduling goes, everybody in the senior center knows that when they get an appointment, they need to make it as soon as possible for their transportation. That way they're guaranteed that they'll get a ride, and it's a matter of cooperation on our part with the senior center, and the senior center takes care of us.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. I think the idea here is that we expand transportation services for maybe people who don't qualify. I've had a couple people who've contacted me who are just below that senior level, or that they just need more reliable transportation, especially for work or things that they don't qualify to get transportation to, like grocery shopping, maybe getting to court, maybe to getting to certain appointments. So I'm trying to think of a program that would work holistically. Maybe it doesn't work for your exact agency, and it's not something you'd be interested in opting into. But it's something, just putting it out there to see if you guys are interested in it. If you are interested in this, please talk to your county commissioners. County commissioners, if you're interested in doing a pilot program, please come talk to me. If this is not, if I'm presenting something that you're like, nope, don't want that. Okay, back to the books. I'm going to start figuring out, is there another option out there? But I was hoping that something with technology kind of like this might be a possible roadmap to making some more efficiency, doing some more efficient trip planning, but maybe not. So now that you've seen my program, I'm going to go back to mentally preparing you. So now that you've seen that proposal, how do you feel about this pilot program idea? Is that something that you're like, no? Or is it something that you're interested in learning more about? Because I definitely don't have all the answers to it. And while SEAT has this ride brokerage model, it doesn't mean that ours would look exactly like theirs. Okay, we're at 19 votes. Can I challenge you to go to 25? We're at 22, 23. Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't figured out how to get on there to vote, but I definitely want to vote to keep it the way it is here.
Right.
I agree.
Well, this isn't an official tally by any means. It's just it's testing the waters to see how people feel.
We've got a really good working system here.
Yeah.
And
Good.
I would hate to see it go a different direction.
Right. Okay. Well, that was my last question, I believe. So I want to go back to my PowerPoint slide. So now I'm looking for some.
Kim, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
This is Katie. So this would be a program also that, for example, I had a 58-year-old gentleman who lived outside of Hicksville that had no sources to go to the hospital to get a procedure done. So this would be something that he could call ABC agency and they would set up a ride for him. I do know that he wasn't eligible through Job and Family. He wasn't eligible through senior services. He wasn't eligible through the veterans. He wasn't eligible through his insurance. So, and on a limited income. So would the funds to pay for his ride come from somewhere else, or would he be responsible for paying it at that point? I mean, just in your idea of what you kind of see.
He would be responsible for paying for the ride unless there was some entity that gave ride vouchers based on income, or he qualified for some kind of program.
Okay. I just have a ton of clients that fall just under the guidelines for the senior center, the veterans, the whatever, and they're just flailing out there. So, you know, anything we can do at this point.
Mm-hmm. So we're also trying to look at options. I think with this is that if we have a ride process that has systems that go out to those areas, that one, transportation is possible for them, which it may not be at this point. And hopefully that transportation would be more affordable than it currently is. But again, it's a pilot program. I'm not even sure.
Right.
That
So
would
we
be the
did
hope.
this through United Way a couple years ago.
Yes.
And it was phenomenal how many people made it to work,
Yeah.
made it to their doctor's appointments, made it where they needed to go through this program.
Mhm.
And, you know, a lot of people have to go to mental health. A lot of people have to show up at court, and they were able to do that through that program. So I think kind of like the pilot's already done, we just need to do something.
Well, fair. I think the other thing with this pilot, well, I want to go back. Yes, this was done through the United Way in Defiance. They did a bridge program and a ride program where they essentially did this model. However, with those programs, either the city ponied up funds for rides or
Correct.
a grant did.
Correct.
And so with this, there would have to be people who pay so that this is self-sufficient. We definitely need those paying riders. We need contracts with companies and organizations. Otherwise, it would not be self-sufficient. And one of the models I'm kind of looking at and thinking of this is, and I hope I'm okay, I mean, this is all just talk, is Henry County Transportation Network. Yes, they received some funds from grants, but the rest of their funds are coming from contracts and riders. Therefore, they're able to run without having to have a budget from their county or have a levy. So they're able to make it work, that it makes it self-sufficient. And like when I talked to Brad Booth, and sorry, Brad, I'm going to quote you here, you know, there were some years where they didn't receive grants, or grants were taken away. And or not taken away, they just, you know, grants expire after a while. And those years were hard, but he said they were still able to financially make it work, and it was still sustainable. It does work better, obviously, when there's grants and cushion and support there. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for, is a program kind of like what we had for the bridge project, but that is going to be self-sustainable, and to a certain degree where we're not having to have grants, taxes, levies to fund it, hopefully.
So I'm going to guess that the majority of the people who are going to pay are going to go to like J&M Cab or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just going to be a coordinated ride system. Is that correct?
Well, if we're allowed, let's stick with my model here. Again, this is all very in the wind. But let's say Henry County Transportation Network is our call center, and they can start taking transports in Defiance. They can start taking transports in Fulton County, in Williams County. So one thing Brad has told me is that, you know, he's in Defiance almost every day of the week, either taking someone to work, or taking someone to Fulton County. And he said that, you know, he can start taking transports in Fulton County. So one thing Brad has told me is that, you know, he's in Defiance almost every day of the week, either taking someone to work, or taking someone to or going to get dialysis. And so while Henry County is out there, they may be able to pick up a couple rides and help transport people out in Defiance while the driver is waiting for a dialysis patient getting their dialysis. So again, it's coming down to some trip efficiencies that then therefore makes that trip less expensive for the folk taking the trip, but it also helps the Henry County Transportation Network so that the driver's not just sitting there. And with more grant agencies and counties that sign on to this, Henry County Transportation would be able to request additional funds through their 5311, therefore giving them more opportunity to expand into the other counties. So again, I want to start small and see if we can make it work in a self-sustainable way. And one, Henry County Transportation Network wants to do that, and 5311 grants and ODOT support this movement. If it all starts working, we might be able to build some steam and momentum, but we need to try before we can, you need to crawl before you can walk and walk before you can run kind of thing. So great questions. I love this. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my breakout groups. Here's my thing is please vote on someone to be a note taker and send whatever notes you all take back to me at mobility@mvpo. When you think you've exhausted the conversation, feel free to leave the breakout room and our meeting is over. I have created some discussion prompts to try to help you with dialogue in these meetings, but generally speaking, I'm looking for you all to kind of come together and say, we have issues with transportation. This is how we're handling it. I need to stop sharing. This is how we're handling it. This is how we've overcome these challenges. Maybe just through these conversations, we'll be able to iron out some solutions, maybe not. But what I'm hoping for is for that dialogue. And then so on the agenda, I have prompting questions. Don't feel like you have to go based on those questions. Feel free to go rogue on me if you want. But I really appreciate honest and sincere dialogue, especially when it comes to transportation, especially based on your category entity that you end up going into whatever breakout room. Now I've broken out the breakout rooms. I'm going to open it here. Oh.